Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 4:03 a.m. It is Friday, April the 18th, with the big blue mug of coffee. Hope you're having a great day today. I certainly am. And just a reminder to click on subscribe, and you'll help out the channel. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. One other thing I want to do before I talk about last night's debate, which I did watch, I want to thank all the contributors, all the people who are out there doing great work. A lot of these clips I get off of X, I get off of YouTube. I want to thank you so much. Juno News, Rebel News, Mark Nixon, Government is Corrupt, and others. I don't always attribute all the things I get here on this channel to the people who are creating them, and I apologize for that, but I wanted to make sure you got some credit. Thanks again. So I watched the debate last night, and I came out of it thinking the same as I went into it. Certainly not going to change my mind. And I was thinking back, and maybe you thought the same thing. You've watched a lot of debates over the years. Have you ever changed your mind based on what you saw on a debate? Probably not. Now, maybe if you're undecided, it might sway you one way or the other. But 2 hours of debate in English last night. I'm glad I watched the English one, because the best part of the whole debate, I could have avoided all of it. Because the very best part of the debate was the last 42 seconds. Watch this.
Only in Canada could someone start where I began and get to this stage. I was born to a single mother and adopted by school teachers who raised me to believe in the incredible Canadian promise that anyone who worked hard could do anything. That promise feels broken today. Many of you worried about paying your bills, feeding your families, or ever even owning a home. You're worried your kids are in danger. But I'm here to say it doesn't have to be this way. With change, we can restore the Canadian promise so that hard work gets you a beautiful house on a safe street under a proud flag. We can do it with hope for a change.
An absolute beautiful moment from Pierre Poilievre, and you can almost see his eyes well up a little bit while he's saying that. He truly believes that. It's a message he talks about very often in his rallies. Now, unfortunately for him, he was the last person to speak. And maybe the people who tuned into Mark Carney and his fear closing statement, which I'm going to get to in just a moment, didn't get a chance to hear Poilievre. Then again, Poilievre did have the last word in the debate last night. So compare this to what Mark Carney had to say. Now, other people were thinking about this last night, and it was something that came to mind while I was watching the debate. Everything is a crisis to Mark Carney and the Liberal Party. And this plays really well. As I've said here before, James Madison said, crisis is the rallying cry of the tyrant. Everything is a crisis to the Liberals, and they are depending on people to believe that. There was a climate crisis, a housing crisis, an economic crisis, tariff crisis, Donald Trump is a crisis, and even in the closing statement, Mark Carney, well, it was a crisis.
We are facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes. Donald Trump is trying to fundamentally change the world economy, the trading system, but really what he's trying to do to Canada, he's trying to break us so the U.S. can own us. They want our land, they want our resources, they want our water, they want our country. We're all going to stand up against Donald Trump. I'm ready. I've managed crises over the years. I've built strong economies. We will fight back with counter tariffs. We will protect our workers and those businesses, and we will build the strongest economy. We will build Canada strong. I'm asking for your support, the honor of doing so. Thank you.
Looking at Carney's message and then looking at Poilievre's, who would you rather put your trust in? The one who's trying to play on your fears and manipulate you, or the one who's talking about, hope and doing something good for the country? I think the answer is clear here. And again, who knows how many people tuned out before they heard those 42 seconds out of Pierre Poilievre's mouth. And I think it's interesting because Poilievre represents the young people. I saw some videos pop up online last night. Young people going on TikTok, trying to encourage their grandparents not to vote Liberal because their futures don't look very good under the Liberal government. They're asking people to vote for Poilievre because Poilievre represents some hope to them, while Carney represents the fear. Now, the other thing I find interesting as well, I was watching Juno News last night, and that's where I watched my live feed, Candace Malcolm talking to David Knight-Legg. And about 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the discussion, they were doing some post-debate analysis. Legg had a great point here, and I've mentioned it here on my channel as well.
I actually think the problem for Mark Carney that became apparent during this debate is that already a lot of his themes are dated. You could sort of feel that the wheel has turned over the course of this last few weeks on Donald Trump as a crisis. And it sounds a little stale. I don't think people are feeling that Donald Trump is the crisis right now.
Can Mark Carney continue along with this fear campaign, which is seeming rather stale? Can he do it for the next week and a half? I was watching Warren Kinsella talking with Brian Lilley and others on the Toronto Sun feed last night. Kinsella says it's over. We might as well vote. Nobody's going to change their mind at this point. Nothing was changed with these two debates. I don't know whether that's the case, but we'll have to see. Now, as far as the debate goes itself, there were some highlights and lowlights. I'm not going to go into the clips very long, but the real low light of the night was Jagmeet Singh. I mentioned yesterday, why is he even on stage? He seemed like a petulant child looking for attention last night. Couldn't stop interrupting Pierre Poilievre. Some people suggesting he's already made a deal with the Liberals for after the election. I don't know whether that's the case, because chances are Singh won't even be around. He might not even get reelected in his riding. But at one point, Steve Paikin, who did a pretty damn good job moderating last night, is a good journalist, had to tell Jagmeet Singh finally just to basically shut up.
Steve, the question that Canadians have to ask.
Why vote for Conservatives?
He's got the Mr. Singh, sorry, he has the floor.
Now, as far as Bloc leader Yves-François Blanchet, I said yesterday that he shouldn't be on stage, but I'm glad he was on stage last night. I think he was the best one on stage. I think he won the debate. It means nothing, but I think he won the debate. A man who represents only Quebec, and he brought it up all the time last night. It became rather boring to hear him say it. A man who is no friend of Canada, certainly no friend of Alberta, because he doesn't want oil and gas. But he got the best shots in last night. And here's one. I'll just show one to you. And this is when Jagmeet Singh was making a statement. Just listen to what he says. It's great.
What I found very troubling is that the past number of years, the Liberal government record is one where we have spent the most subsidies compared to any other country in the G7 on subsidizing oil and gas. These are highly profitable companies.
You voted for it.
I think that's the wrong thing to do. We fought against it again and again.
No, you voted for it.
And then the Liberals have continued to do it. And so my question really to Mr. Carney is,
Blanchet actually went after Carney for his offshore bank accounts and went after him for Brookfield a number of times. I think he was the most entertaining part of the debate last night. I say he won the debate. He didn't really win anything, but I was glad he was there. It was very entertaining to hear what he had to say. Biggest fail on the night, Mark Carney, no doubt about it. And he laid up one for Pierre Poilievre that Poilievre couldn't have hoped for. The left seems to think Poilievre's security clearance is a big deal, and it's quite logical why he hasn't got his security clearance. And Carney asked him about it last night. As soon as it started to come out of his mouth, I leaned forward and I thought, he's actually going to go here? And Poilievre went in and he ended up with a slam dunk. I'm not going to play the whole clip, just a little bit of a clip, and he even gave a bit of a nod to former opposition leader, NDP leader, Tom Mulcair.
But when the government made this recent offer, they said that if I got the secret security clearance briefings, that I would be gagged under the security law, and I could be prosecuted if I spoke freely about matters of foreign interference. Now, given that Canada has experienced Chinese interference by Beijing, the government of China, in 2 consecutive elections, I needed to do my job to speak freely without fear of prosecution. Even Thomas Mulcair, the former leader of the NDP, said that when he was the leader of the opposition, he never would have accepted the kind of gag order that your government and Mr. Trudeau's government was attempting to impose on me.
There were no knockout punches during the debate. All Carney had to do was survive this, and he survived it quite well. So again, I don't think this really swayed too many people's minds. Were there any knockout punches? No. I think the best moment of the night was when Pierre Poilievre talked about, do you really want 4 more years of this? And the same people that have been running the country for the last 10 years are running the country right now. And he had this to say to Mark Carney.
And are you prepared to elect the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal staffers all over again for a 4th term? Mr. Carney, Justin Trudeau's staffers are actually here with you at this debate in Montreal, writing the talking points that you are regurgitating into the microphone. Ooh. How can we possibly believe that you are any different than the previous 10 years of Liberal government.
Carney survives the debate. I wasted an hour and 56 minutes of my time, could have watched the last 4 minutes to get the closing statements, in particular Carney's message of fear and crisis compared to the change that Pierre Poilievre is promising and some hope for the future, which was his best 42 seconds, I think, of this campaign for sure. I'm almost more interested in this election to find out if the polls are correct, because they've swung so far since the beginning of this year. I think this is a neck-and-neck race right now, which isn't good for the Conservatives because they have to win a majority outright. Otherwise, if they win a minority, it's over, folks. Coalition government, the Liberals, NDP, Bloc will all team up, and we'll be on the outside looking in, and we might be looking at the end of Canada as we know it. And I believe that 100%. Thanks so much for watching this video. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel as well. I appreciate that. If you'd like to get notifications, you can ring the little bell. And I'll see you in the next one.